So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning for our webinar all about Microsoft Intune Suite. Apologies for the slight delay in starting. We had some challenges with updates. Perfect timing, just before we were about to go live. Windows decided to initiate some updates, but we're over that now and we're ready to go. So a huge thank you for you all in taking time out of your day to join us. So my name is Matthew Richards. I'm one of the practice managers at Kocho. We're also really fortunate to be joined by two people from Microsoft, so Sneha Bodade and Owen Fahy. So what are we going to talk about today? So a welcome and setting the scene from me, just a few minutes on that, and then we'll jump straight into the the bulk or the core of the session, which is all about Intune Suite. So I'll hand over to Sneha at this point. She'll talk about the Intune Suite and the various components that comprise that, as well as some demos. Fingers crossed everything works fine there. We'll then talk about some next steps. So how can Kocho sort of take you to the, help you take the next step in understanding the benefits and value of Intune. And I've got a few things to share with you there. And then, as I've mentioned, we've got a little bit of time at the end just to answer some of the questions. But if we don't end up having time, we will absolutely respond after the webinar. So I thought it was useful just to set the scene and highlight some insights, predominantly from Gartner, around the world today. So I think we're all very familiar with the advent of artificial intelligence and all the generative AI developments that are happening across the industry. This obviously is a huge benefit to adversaries in using that technology to try and gain access to our organizations. So, and specifically the consumerization of that AI-enabled fraud is actually going to change the attack surface quite significantly. Zero trust, that's something that we've been talking about, and I think everyone's been talking about for quite a while. And actually it's quite surprising that only 1% of organizations today have a program in place to actually implement the zero trust principles within their organization. But Gartner is seeing that increase to at least 10% by 2026, which again demonstrates the need to have, to look at every aspect of our IT environments and make sure that we're adopting that zero trust approach to make sure that we have the best protection possible. Vendor consolidation, this has been something quite a hot topic, to be honest, for quite a while. So, lots and lots of different vendors introduces a whole load of complexity, and not only that, but also significant costs. So what Gartner is seeing, or other organizations similar to Gartner, are saying that 21% of CIOs are seeing this as a very key focus area for them. So with vendor consolidation, not only can we reduce costs, but it also has a significant benefit in terms of the native integration of various security technologies and be able to share telemetry, ultimately giving you that ability to react really quickly and improve your security posture. So when we look at some of the really key important areas across both IT and security teams that we need to be focusing on, obviously, protecting our data and access to corporate resources is fundamental. That's what we're trying to do across every aspect of our IT infrastructure and platforms. We want to be able to prevent breaches, obviously, and to be able to do that effectively and have that continual sort of improvement approach. We need to understand where the gaps or the holes are within our organization so that we can block those appropriately. App updates, incredibly important to consider a robust approach to that. We're not just talking about Microsoft applications, obviously, the plethora of third-party applications that we all run to support our organizations. We need to make sure that we have that robust update approach. Visibility across the estate is really important. We need to understand, how things are running, what's working, what isn't working, and get some telemetry and analytics so that we can understand where we can make improvements. Another key important point. And obviously, we're all looking to drive costs down and ultimately operational complexity as well. And that will also have an impact on costs. So, a key focus as things become more challenging as we move forward with the different attack vectors, different techniques that adversaries are using. We need to make sure that we can cope with that, but managing that sort of operational and cost overhead. And it's really important for those organizations that have separate IT and separate SecOps teams that we enable, collaboration and integration between those organizations so that everyone's on the same page. And that we're all sort of singing from the same hymn sheet in terms of seeking to protect and improve the security of our organizations. And I think it's fair to say that with this ever-changing landscape, it's incredibly difficult to achieve if we're not taking advantage of cloud technologies that enable us with being able to be flexible and to adapt as we move forward, but also manage costs. So those are some key important things. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Sneha, who will talk us through Intune Suite. And hopefully you'll start to see as Sneha goes through a presentation, some of the challenges I've raised and how some of the components in Intune Suite can help you with some aspects of those challenges. So Sneha, over to you.
Okay, perfect. So before I go ahead, let me just introduce myself. I am Sneha Bodre. I am technical specialist for modern workplace and security as well. And I'll be covering the highlight features for the Intune Suite today. So it helps you understand how the unified solution can actually help make your life really easy. The world today, we have growing security risks, we have changing work habits. The COVID changed everything for us today. Most of the people are working from home now, and since the applications have evolved, the IT management has become quite complex as well for us. So just to manage this whole lot, you have to kind of upskill your IT all the time, make sure that they know about what's coming up, what's not coming up, need to know the granular things as well for everything. So what we are going to do is today the organization are still seeking to fill the scenario gaps where application management lifecycle is a bit of a trick. Then you need to assess the employees wherever they are. Some people are working remotely, and then your remote tools sometimes are not available in those areas, and then it's a trouble. And then you also have access to the corporate resources for BYOD, and then the improving the end user outcomes as well. You want to reduce the IT efforts so that your IT team can actually focus on actual critical issues and not just like resetting the passwords or, just installing the applications on the end user machine by taking the remote of their machine as well. So, we also have an option where we can enable the least privilege access for enabling standard users. And then the highlight is the certificate management as well. Certificate management is a huge challenge as well when you're actually using your local CA or even a third-party CA to deploy for the Intune. So let's go through this. So all of these gaps that I have just mentioned, Microsoft has introduced the Intune Suite last year, and all these features they have kind of combined into this one suite where these are all different tools from different areas. Basically, for example, remote help is a remote. It has nothing to do with the tunnel, right? It has nothing to do with the privilege, endpoint privilege management, the updates or everything. So we have kind of tried to make sure that these basic things that you need for an end user to work, we have tried to combine all of these in Intune Suite. So the Intune Advanced Analytics. So it does provide you the meaningful metrics and insights for measuring the quality of the end user experience with the proactive detection and the remediation of the issues that would impact your user productivity. So one of the things that it provides is the anomaly detection. which detects and reports the anomalies on your devices based on the device level events and signals that correlates with the anomalous behavior. Like if there is any, even if there is any unexpected software is installed, it will report it out to you, and you will get alerted about these anomalies within your organization. So the initial scope of the features will detect the anomalies with the blue screen and the app crashes and the additional type of the anomalies that will be added over the time from the Microsoft end. Um, you have the enhanced device timeline as well. So what this will do is this will actually replace the current device timeline within the application reliability report, and will also be adding the new events to the timeline, such as reboot, log on events, as well as the detected anomalies as well. And then we'll be reducing the latency to help you troubleshoot the device issues more effectively. So instead of, as a support person, instead of actually first stage is to take a remote of the machine and then troubleshoot, I would know what's wrong with the machine before I take the remote, so which reduces my troubleshooting time and analysis time. When I'm going through these analytics as well. And the last one you have is a custom device scope. So what this would do, this will actually allow you to use scope tags and slice these reports to the subset of the devices. So depending on the region or department, or like a set of devices which has certain applications installed, you can then slice and dice the report that you want to have a look at. If you can see here, there is overview, there is anomalies, there is model scores, and the device scores as well. So in the overview, you kind of see that what all machines had the startup performance issues. Work from anywhere is working absolutely fine. And then you have the anomalies as well. Right here, you can see what went wrong with the machine and what unexpected action kind of happened on your end user device as well. So this kind of gives you a bit of an overview before you go into the detailed troubleshooting. Even this actually is very helpful, even when you have installed any new updates or new applications, and if that has broken anything, you know what change has been made at what point. So it kind of narrows down your troubleshooting window. Now, what I'm going to do is I will go over the key capabilities. So here with the anomaly detection and the enhanced device timeline, your IT admins can actually proactively identify potential issues, right? Like I mentioned. And then this will actually help IT resolve the issues in a timely manner before they impact the end user experience and the security as well. So now anomaly detection is an early warning mechanism for identifying issues and is always looking for changes in the device behavior or unexpected signal. It will provide you fast, reliable, and objective indicator for the potential issues as well. And the custom device scope is actually just going to give you the basic reporting and the filtering capabilities depending on the device scoping. And there's a couple of features that are coming up as well, which is a device query for the fleet and the use of access state of the multiple devices in the real-time assessment of the state of the multiple devices. So you would know real time what's happening and what has happened on the machine. You wouldn't have to wait for the report as well, but that feature is coming up. So the next feature we have is an enterprise application management as well. So this feature basically kind of proactively and simply and securely deploy and manage the applications for your organization. And the initial release of our advanced application and the patch management solution, it would offer a new enterprise app catalog. And this catalog basically contains like around 500 first and third party applications in our store and in our app catalog. And this solution will help IT save time by streamlining the process of discovering and packaging the application as well. It would also reduce the complexity of managing the Microsoft third-party application across the organization as well. Um, it will reduce the complexity. You can automate the update cycle as well for your applications. You can set up the supersedence as well, whether you want to keep the previous version of the application, remove the previous application version of the application as well. So basically, enterprise application management would simplify your application management in general and the update cycle as well. I'm going to try and again play the video. And see if it works, because it's going to give you an idea how simple it is to update the application on one go and how you kind of don't need like traditional methods like SCCM, even Intune, like you have to go through the whole Intune process, run the scripts, and then package the application. Here it's quite straightforward.
Enterprise App Management gives you a rich app catalog, allowing you to not only distribute managed apps, but also keep them patched and up to date. It starts with collecting and curating apps you want from a robust catalog of prepackaged applications, including silent install commands and additional rich metadata for managing your apps. And from there, it's just a few clicks to add apps directly from app publishers and later deploy them to devices. This removes the pain of searching the internet to find application install files, their commands, repackaging them, and uploading them into Intune. The process is greatly streamlined. And the process of updating apps is simplified too. You can allow the apps you trust to self-update, and as new updates for your curated apps become available, details are automatically surfaced in Intune. This means when an update is available, it's just a few clicks to update your catalog and even supersede previous versions of that app if it's detected when you deploy the update.
Now I'll go over the enterprise app catalog, like where we do have Microsoft and non-Microsoft application. We do have pre-packaged and pre-configured applications as well. And then there is a couple of features that are coming up as well. We are going to continue enhancing the product offering, and we'll provide the advancements in the updates notification, and then there will be guided remediation steps as well. There will be more and more applications added to the enterprise app catalog just to make your application management life easy. Let's move on to the next one, which is a cloud PKI. I personally really like this one because I have gone through like setting up with a couple of my customers the whole shebang of like NDS servers, like certificate connectors, etc. And this one simplifies everything for you, and you do not need to have a specific knowledge of like managing the CA by yourself, and it also is supported on your Windows machines, your Android, your macOS, your iOS as well. So what this does is like the authentication with the certificates is secure and seamless experience for the users. And then by establishing their identity as a trustworthy, the device and the users can request signed certificates enabling the users to present to the other services for the authentication purpose. So you can actually issue user-based or device-based certs as well using this service. And the migration from the on-premise to cloud managed certificate can not only be streamlined the process, but it's also quite easy to set up too. I will just run over through a scenario where a normal Wi-Fi profile could be set up using an authentication, using a certificate authentication. So for example, Anna, she needs to set up a certification authority, for example, for a new healthcare division, and then issue the certificates to the devices to secure and seamless Wi-Fi access. He just wants everybody connecting to the um, um, has a valid authentication, can just connect to the Wi-Fi automatically. So what she would do, she would just go to the Intune PKI console, and she will create a new issuing CA adhering to the industry standards without needing a deep KPI knowledge. So like I said, you don't need to set up like a CA, NDS server, certificate connector, or any of these. This actually reduces the effort for actually managing your firewall setup as well, to allowing the download and upload of the certificates as well. And now she can quickly create the deploys certificate and the Wi-Fi profiles as well. She can link to the cloud CA. Now now the user experience would be the moment she kind of deploys the certificate and connects that to the Wi-Fi profile. All you have to do is assign that Wi-Fi profile to the device or user, and the user will have an SSO experience for connecting to the Wi-Fi. Pretty straightforward. I will not go through the demo for this because this is basically just profile creation, but it is a part of your Intune portal where you create configuration profiles. You can just create your certification authority there, and there you go. Now, we do have the features that are coming up. We have an option of bringing your own CA as well in the Cloud KPI. We support the root and the issuing cert as well. There are a couple of things that you need to make sure that you can create the CA, but you cannot delete. You need to contact support. And there's a limitation on how many CAs you can create. I think it's up to like 6 to 7 CAs that you can actually create and issue the certs. Now, endpoint privilege management is really asked by a lot of customers. It actually allows the standard users to perform tasks normally, reserved for an administrator, or there are companies which actually just give everybody local admin rights, and then end users who are not really techie or educated, they would go ahead and install random softwares that can damage their everyday work or use a lot of battery, or even, like vulnerable to the anomalies or malwares or whatever. So what you're doing by using endpoint privilege management is you're simplifying the management of the standard users and manage the privilege elevation and the endpoint configuration in one place. So for some applications, you're letting people use the privileged access or the elevated access. And for some softwares, then you're kind of setting up the user confirmed or the support approved. That feature is coming up soon as well for the elevated scenarios. Now you can enforce the least privilege access as well. That is going to reduce the attack surface of the local admins, and it will protect the corporate data by enabling the least privileged access for you. It's enabling the productivity. Now the support team is not having to go through and take the remote of the machine and like install the software for all the users. The whole process kind of going through the approval process, and it's pretty automated as well. We'll go ahead and show you how it would look like. But ideally, what happens is like if a user is trying to install an application, depending on what you have set up on the Intune Suite for that user, for that application, for the particular action, the user would either get a prompt saying whether they want to click yes for the installation, or don't do anything at all, just let them install without alarming, informing, or the support approved as well. So in the support approved, what happens is that you will have to submit a business justification, and then that request goes to the Intune administrator, and they can pick and choose which one they should be approving depending on their company standards or company regulations. Let me show you a quick video of this. I will probably not run all of it.
Adele works for an organization whose end users all run without administrator rights. Adele works for the finance department and has just been approved to validate a new application from Kocho to estimate project finances. She engages her organization support team to get the application properly installed so she can begin validating the new application for her organization. Since Adele does not have administrative rights, she engages with her organization support desk to get the application installed. They work together to install the application using Endpoint Privilege Management's support approved feature. First, Adele requests to run the application as administrator. She does this by right-clicking on the installer and selecting Run with Elevated Access. She's met with a pane asking her to submit a business justification. Adele completes the request and sends it off to her support team. In Microsoft Intune, her support team reviews the request, ensuring the file matches what they expect. They can review items like the device's compliance and justification provided by Adele. They can also view detailed information about the signature and file metadata, making sure the request is what they expect from a file they can trust. Once they've reviewed the request, they approve it for a limited period of time, just for Adele, just on her device. After being notified by her support team, Adele launches the application and is now asked to confirm the elevation of the app that has just been approved by her support team. She selects Continue, and the installation launches with administrative privileges, allowing Adele to complete the application installation. All this is done on Adele's device without her or the support person having elevated privileges or having to put in privilege credentials.
This basically gives a very, very standard user experience for the users, where they're not having to go through 100 steps, create a ticket, or anything at all. This all request is kind of going automatically. So you're saving this ticket process, like a service desk efforts or anything at all. Even the user doesn't need to ring anybody. They just need to submit a request on the machine, and it's kind of connected to the application itself. So they don't even have to go through a different platform. It's just all on one screen. Now you have the key capabilities, where I have mentioned a couple of times now. That's automatic, user confirmed, and the support elevated. You have easy addition or removal of the rules as well. Now, a couple of things that are coming up is that at the moment, I think endpoint privilege management is not available for the single session AVD. That's going to come up very soon as well. That's on the roadmap. And it's going to also the support approved elevation is also going to come up. Let me just go to the next feature now. That is remote help. This is what kind of Intune Suite started off with. So with the remote help basically supports most of your security alignments right? Your role-based access, your MFA, your conditional access, and it's all connected to your Entra ID or Azure identity as well. So it does enable IT and help desk workers to respond to the service issues quickly and efficiently. You do have unattended sessions as well available as a part of the remote help feature. That's going to come up soon as well. And this basically just works like any other remote help tool. Like just to give you a third-party example, maybe TeamViewer or anything else that does support for your service desk team. Now, you also you can actually just have the session controls as well. The device compliance warnings helps your service desk people to understand whether the device is compliant or not before they start troubleshooting as well. So they can do all the prerequisites before having to investigate through the machine. And you have the session reporting as well, like when and who and on what device the action has been performed. So if there are any changes or unexpected updates that are installed on the machine by some support desk, you would know who has actually done it. So it's easier to kind of investigate these kind of incidences as well. It would help it would help build the trust between the help desk and the share as well before the connections, because when you are trying to take a remote of the machine, it shows your identity, your title, your company name, etc., your domain name as well. So the end user who is sharing the screen feels more safer to kind of show a screen to them. Um, you also have like a centralized experience in the Endpoint Manager Admin Center that will help you get started as well. I would go ahead and show you how it would look like in this scenario. The remote help action. 1 second.
At the end of his shift, Tom filed a support ticket saying that his mobile device isn't connecting properly to the Bluetooth printer. Megan can use remote help to remotely access the device during a scheduled maintenance window. Megan will go to the Intune Devices blade, select the device in question, select Start New Remote Assistant Session, then initiate unattended control. The session automatically begins without requiring user interaction. Megan can unlock the device from her end by clicking the Home button and turning the screen on. She opens the device settings, selects Bluetooth, and finds that Bluetooth needs to be turned on. As you can see, remote help enables support staff to swiftly resolve issues from anywhere, keeping devices productive and preventing costly downtime. At the end of his shift,
Great. So, like I mentioned, right, the access to the machine is quite easy to do it just from the Intune portal. You don't even have to open a different console. You can just click on the machine and open a remote session from the Intune portal itself. Very, very easy to see when the support was provided. And at the moment, these kind of support is coming up for the macOS with respect to conditional access and full-threaded chat, etc., etc. But for just generally, Android and Windows are fully supported for most of the things. We have unattended sessions as well that are going to come up. There is something called unattended session on the block screen as well, where user cannot see or like take a control by themselves when the support team is working on their machine. And that feature is going to come up soon as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to the last one, which is our Microsoft tunnel for the mobile app management. This is really, really interesting in the today's world when people are really working from home and, like they don't really want to enroll their personal machine or a phone to the company, but they still kind of want a flexibility of being able to access some documents which are critical or maybe are dependent on your local VPN. So this is basically your lightweight VPN solution that's going to allow your workers to access on-premises resources from an unenrolled personal mobile device. So this Microsoft Tunnel for Mobile Application Management, it would allow you to embrace the bring your own device policies instead of purchasing the corporate devices for the employees. So it's going to provide them the flexibility that they often want, and this also gives you kind of a secure access to the corporate data. It gives a mobile access to the corporate resources while still applying security policies and protecting data within the Intune. Um, the flexibility for the end users is a hero thing here, which enables employees to work effectively without enrolling their devices as well. And it kind of gives your organizations more freedom to use the bring your own device policies. Let me show you how it would look like. This is very interesting because it kind of automatically creates a tunnel to let you access your on-premises resources from your personal devices. And you also have an option to kind of switch between the personal and the work profiles within the application itself, which kind of releases you from the stress of like enrolling your whole machine or a whole phone or a whole personal device and then switching the device profile. This is just an app profile for you. Let me just show you how it looks like as well.
Derek and Tolu are working on a big healthcare project together for a high-profile client. Tolu leaves home to run an errand, taking him away from his work device. While away, he receives a Microsoft Outlook notification. Derek urgently needs his help reviewing a document. From his personal Android device, Tolu opens Outlook and clicks on a link to the document from his corporate email account. The document is opened using Microsoft Edge, and since he signed in with his work credentials from Outlook, Tunnel for MAM seamlessly allows him to connect to the company's on-premises network, and the file remains protected by app protection policies. Tolu is easily able to view it and make the necessary edits, all from his personal device. Returning home, Tolu picks up his personal iPad. He opens Edge and is prompted to sign in using his corporate credentials based on his browsing history. Tolu then decides to check something out for personal reasons. Because he's using Edge as a managed browser, he's informed that Tunnel is disconnected. This gives him confidence that his privacy is protected as his personal data is not being sent through the company network.
Okay, perfect. So like I mentioned, you have the profile options within the Edge itself, right? So let's go over a couple of key capabilities, right? You have an auto launch for these. You have app or device-wide VPN that you can set. You can decide whether you want just a VPN for Edge, for example, or for the whole device as well. There's both options there. Now there's a support for iOS and your Android devices as well for the tunnel. You also have a support for the trusted root certificate as well. Now, there are a couple of features that are coming up, which is an MDM tunnel. So this is going to help you pin the certificate on the iOS as well. And then you have the improved scale as well. So you can now do from 5,000 clients per server to 20,000 clients per server setup for each VPN tunnel there. So I think this is mainly just all the features for the Intune Suite. I am just looking through the questions, and I think one of the questions is that can we patch the automatic patching for the third-party apps? So the answer is depends on the availability of that application in the app catalog, basically. So if that application is available in the application catalog, then you can pull the updates from there and just give a reference for the catalog there, and then set it to automatically update as and when it goes. I think Matt.
Yes, sorry, I was on
Yeah,
mute.
would you like to take over? No worries.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sneha. That was really, really good. Sorry, go on.
No, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen now so you can take over.
What I'd like to do now is just talk to you briefly about, how Kocho can help you take the next step. There are a couple of things that we're able to offer. But before I do that, in terms of Kocho and our credentials, so we've got quite a large team of very experienced sort of architects and consultants that have been very busy over the number of years in terms of establishing our credibility with Microsoft. And as a result of that, we've got a number of badges. Now, I'm not going to go through each and every one of these. Suffice to say, this is a validation directly from Microsoft on our capability in terms of helping our clients. So in terms of next steps with Intune Suite, we have an Intune Suite pilot engagement that we're happy to offer our clients. And this is a structured engagement that allows you to trial 3 out of the 6 components within the Intune Suite, if you remember those from Sneha's presentation. And this is an opportunity for you to get some hands-on within your environment, get direct experience to the benefits of these technologies. So if you're interested in that, please let us know. There is a potential that we can get some Microsoft funding for this exercise. So if there is any interest in this, please get in touch, and we can check to see what the status is there with regards to the funding. And when you get the slides at the end or towards the end of this week, following the webinar, you'll be able to also download a one-pager, which will have a little bit more detail around what our Intune Suite pilot engagement is. In addition to that, and if you've got anything specific that may not fit nicely within that sort of structured Intune Suite pilot exercise, then we're happy to arrange what we call a vision call, which is in essence an hour with one of our experienced architects that can help you understand your specific, help answer, I guess, your specific questions and help work out, what is appropriate for you. So please get in touch. We can help you in many different ways.